I'd like to call the meeting to order, the Board of Leavenworth County Commission. I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to start with a moment of silence for all the bad things that are happening in the world today. Roll call. I'll start with Commissioner Culberson.
Here.
Commissioner Cos.
Here.
Commissioner Smith is here. Commissioner Shimke.
Here.
And Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
All right, we are all present. I'd like to start the meeting with public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come forward and state your name. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and move on to administrative business.
Don't have any
No
administrative business.
business today? All right. Then we'll go on to the consent agendas. Commissioners had a chance to look at the consent agenda. Any questions on any item on the consent agenda?
No, sir.
No.
None here.
Mr. Stevens?
Well, is this, the schedule for next week?
Okay.
Wondered if it would work for everybody. I have railroad safety audit they're asking me to participate in on Wednesday and Thursday. Wondered if it would work to move the meeting to Tuesday next week.
I have no objection at all.
Works for me.
I'm out of town Tuesday. That's why I was looking. I'm okay with the meeting continuing without me then.
Okay. Are you out of town Wednesday also?
No, I leave Monday night and get back midnight Tuesday.
So it's a flop.
Well,
We either miss him on Wednesday or him on Tuesday. How about Thursday? Or Monday?
Friday? Around Friday?
About,
Yeah.
you're out of town all week?
No,
Oh,
no, just all day Tuesday.
Are you around on Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Friday?
Friday works for me.
I don't know.
well, I'm trying to think. This
Or Monday.
Friday's the deal for 4.
About Monday?
Was it?
Friday's better.
Does Monday work for you?
Monday's better.
I can do Monday, the 13th.
Monday's be better. Friday's bad for Becky.
Monday?
Monday's better for Becky.
Well, just
Paperwork.
packet-wise and minutes.
Monday works for me.
Paperwork stuff.
Monday work for you,
Friday
Doug?
would not have.
Any day works for me. I'm here
Well, let's
every
do
day.
Monday.
I just have a conflicting meeting in the morning on Friday, next Friday, so.
Will Monday work?
I'm here every day. I just
Yeah.
need to know
So
what.
if that works to change it to Monday?
Yep, because I'm
That way,
there.
I fell on the railroad, broke his arm, and they want me to fill.
Ooh, that's HIPAA.
Well, they want me to fill
Name and
in.
name.
Didn't name it. Okay.
So Monday?
It's
Monday?
it's whatever you.
Is that agreeable to everybody?
Agreeable to me?
Yeah.
All right.
Works for me. That works for you.
Does it work for Becky?
Better for Becky's paperwork.
That's all that matters to me.
Paperwork-wise, it's hard on Friday.
I get it.
Okay, Monday.
Monday.
All right, so
We need that.
approve the.
Do we need a
Need
motion?
a motion to approve the consent agenda with the change for next week's meeting.
So moved.
To Monday.
I mean,
The meeting
I
is
guess,
Monday.
I guess for the county councilors, does this pass legal muster?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Voting?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. Oh, I got the wrong one here. Here we go. Elected officials' salaries. We just need a motion.
This is just to follow up from what the board has asked us to do. We've had a couple of work sessions on this. At the last work session, we discussed it. This was the consensus of the board, was that you would be removing the elected officials from the county pay plan So this is just the formal adoption of that. I don't have anything to add.
Any questions? I mean, we went over it in the work session, I think, very thoroughly. So I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to remove the elected officials of Leavenworth County from the county pay plan.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the elected official's salary being removed from the county's pay plan?
I have one thing that I would add, and it would just be something to look at with the policy for this, is that should it ever come a time when one of the elected officials that has been elected is a past employee of the county, that should they return to employment with the county after they served, if that happened to happen, that those years be counted toward their years of service to the county. Is that making sense? Meaning that they want, when they've done that period of time, that for longevity with the county.
It doesn't make any impact because there are no benefits that are impacted by longevity for the elected officials.
So they'd still be going back to,
You don't have sick leave, you don't have vacation.
Right, but what about longevity pay? I mean, like increases that the standard employees, paid employee, the regular employees of the county receive, my understanding.
I see what she's saying.
yeah.
I don't think we have anything in place that would
That's
affect
the
right
purpose of
now.
removing them from the pay plan, is that longevity does not come into play
Right.
for the elected officials. It's set annually by
Yeah.
the board.
I see what
Okay.
she's saying.
But I think
Well,
what she was talking about is, say Jeff went back to work in GIS after he
Like
came
if
off
he,
this board when he's 70.
4 years from now, he decided he didn't want to be a commissioner anymore, but he just loved his job so much, he wanted to come
Well, I mean,
back.
he's gonna be
Right.
doing a lot.
We do have a policy in place that allows for credit for service
Right,
if you come
that's-
back to work.
That's what
It
I
wouldn't
was,
apply as an elected official, it would apply as an employee of the county.
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, we do have a policy in place for
You guys
that.
put into capers.
Yeah, and
It's
Capers,
optional.
I'm
It's
not.
Commissioners,
I do
Yes.
not.
and I think Capers has a different
Good.
set of rules.
you can continue doing.
No, I cannot put into capers because I'm drawing it.
Yeah, retired.
Oh, I mean,
If we weren't
So,
if you were a
retired,
county employee and
Yeah,
left that position. to be a
Right, they can't, the
commissioner,
elected
Yeah.
you could
officials
still
pay into the
contribute to your
Kansas, they
capers
retire.
and
yeah,
not draw it.
yeah, if we
Yes.
weren't retired,
Right.
Right.
we could do that.
So,
Yes.
so Jeff and I are a deal here. We're 6% cheaper.
Yeah. So, and Capers has a different set of rules on what they would allow to be counted.
Right, and to return, but
Yeah.
that changes every year at the
Yeah.
legislature, so
Yeah,
it could
yeah.
be.
So I see what she's saying.
But I agree with,
That's all I'm
I
saying
agree
is-
with
Mhm.
Commissioner Cos, because, maybe we should start giving plaques out for a long, like, for 25,
Like we used to
30
do.
years, like we used to do.
Yeah,
And then when you, because you'll have like 40-some years in here.
yeah. Well, that's something I think we need to address probably
Before
this
that
year.
Acknowledging employees, acknowledge employees'
Yeah.
years of service.
Once we
or
get-
Something.
Yeah, once we get HR straightened out, it's one of the things I wanted to address was longevity bonuses again, to try to keep people that do a good job. We used to give longevity
We used to give a
raises.
plaque.
Oh,
then
I
we
thought
went
that we
to
still did.
bonuses.
Bonuses, okay,
Yeah, we used to give longevity raises, like a step increase or whatever,
Then they
and
went
then
to
we
the
went to a
bonus.
cash bonus
Okay.
to save us money on benefits, and then they did away with that. And then they also used to give plaques every 5-year anniversaries. They stopped doing that
Five-
too.
I thought it was 5, 10, 15.
Yeah, every 5.
20, okay.
Yeah, and we stopped
I
doing
thought
that
they
too,
quit.
so.
And then There was a gap in there, but that's
Yeah,
been so long.
yeah. So that's
I've got a
something-
few.
Yeah, I got that on my list to address this year. We need to
Okay.
get back to trying to retain good folks
Right.
instead of,
At least acknowledge employees for
yeah.
years of service.
yeah.
So we have a motion, second. Any further discussion on the elected officials' pay? Voting, start with Mr. Stevens.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
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 Any further business for the board? Okay, well, get being we got a marathon here that we ran through. There was a time, we didn't allow an applicant to come up and speak when he was doing a plat. It would have been probably October, November. November. That's kind of bothering me. We didn't let the man come up. He was not allowed to come to the podium in public, what was it a public hearing, or was it just public comment?
I don't think it was a public hearing.
I don't believe it was public hearing.
I don't believe it was a public hearing, but he wasn't, when we were talking about his plat, he wasn't allowed to come up and even talk about it. He was denied his due process, is what we're talking about. And I'd like to revisit that. I think the man should have been allowed to come up and speak.
What month was that?
No, early November, late October, I believe.
Revisit that specific issue or
Yeah.
revisit allowing
This
that?
case was denied without him being able to come up here and talk.
Yeah, I think this board has a lot different outlook on things
Well, I
like
do
that.
too, and that's why, it's like I said, I never thought that was right, that he was denied his right to speak.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Commissioner Smith, if I could, your staff can certainly look into bringing that issue back before you because it dealt with a subdivision, there may be the need to reinitiate the subdivision process, i.e. going before staff review, planning commission, and then back to this commission, simply because of the fact it was voted down and that the amount of time that has gone past. I'm not saying that's an insurmountable and it could be fast-tracked, but we probably would need to consult with planning staff on whether it needs to go through the process again.
Well, I just think we need to right or wrong on this deal.
And planning and zoning was last night, right? So we're already,
Yeah, well, it wouldn't matter. Yeah. I don't know if anybody's aware of it, but that's just something that bothered me, but is next week we acknowledge police officers, is that the week on that? Okay. Do we do a proclamation or anything? Is there something?
I mean, I think we certainly could. I don't know that anybody has approached us about.
Okay.
Typically, those organizations, law enforcement,
I think May's a
EMS,
big month on
they,
that.
they come to us with could you adopt this?
Okay.
So
Well, if they don't,
We
we'll
can-
acknowledge that it's a police officer week, and I guess, and I think the next week is Public Works Week, I believe.
Well, this week is Nurses Week.
Okay, all right, we'll honor nurses.
Proclamations.
We could have the whole,
Oh, no, I'm
we could
just-
have, I think there is something every week in the
Yeah.
month of May.
And it's
But-
Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mother's
The whole
Day.
month.
Don't
and
forget
then,
Mother's Day.
yeah, Mother's Day is
Yeah.
Sunday.
Okay,
So, I have a couple things.
yes, sir.
I was at the Linwood City Council meeting last night. and
How are they doing?
They're doing very good. They're getting themselves really in a good position, and I presented them about 2 weeks ago with the possibility of an intergovernmental relationship with them for us to be involved in enforcement of codes, using our code enforcement officer, and they're looking into that possibility.
Okay,
They're also concerned, of course, about the traffic on Highway 32 in relation to the sand quarry, and they're probably going to be sending us a letter addressing that, addressing routes.
they wouldn't be driving through Linwood though, would they? Or-
No, but they're concerned about traffic on the route that we're routing people, so that's an issue they have.
But
I,
till it goes to planning and zoning, we really don't know what route's gonna be chosen, do we?
no, we don't, but this is something they expressed concern about.
Okay.
So, there was just a lot of, it was a very good meeting, and they're very well attended.
They are. You gotta get there early to get a seat.
That's right, and I didn't have a seat when I first got there, so. The other thing I wanted to address was, yesterday at our planning workshop, I cited some statistics that I have been given and that apparently were inaccurate, and I stand corrected on those as far as the number of jobs that LCDC has been involved in, and I was given some bad information, so stand corrected on that.
Mike, did you have a question about a railroad or something you were asking? A railroad question earlier?
Not that I can remember. Well, that I'm, in relation to changing the meeting time.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I thought.
I was gonna say, he ought to be answering the railroad questions.
Yeah,
But,
Well, and on the railroad issue, at some point, the fellow from BNSF, his name's Jeff Davis, has said he would be more than happy to come and give a presentation to us on what's going on with the intermodal facility at Gardner and how it relates to how BNSF is involved in the, the economic development of our entire region. And he'd be more than happy to give a presentation at some point.
Do they attend the Belt Highway meetings?
I believe they're involved in that. I don't know.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
obviously,
hopefully we
they
can
would
get-
like to have a belt highway, that's
Hopefully
what
we
the
can
railroad would
get
like.
we can get a KDOT meeting up locally here on that.
So, not saying that that's something we want, but that's what the railroad would want.
Well, it's just, you know how the wheels turn slow.
Right.
Probably none of us, time it would be built, would be around or at least driving.
But it would, they would like to keep traffic on the 435, if they could get traffic diverted around Kansas City, that would be, I don't know if you guys have been out there to that Edgerton. It's really, really growing. And
I-35 will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, thanks for giving us
Oh, yeah,
this.
too bad.
Appreciate it.
Anything else? How was the conference for the two that went?
Very, very educational. So for those that didn't know, Vicki and I attended a conference in Junction City last week and a preliminary training the day before. It was great to interact with counties of like size. There's not a lot of them out of the 105, so it was interesting to hear what much smaller counties are dealing with. And Mike and I are going to be lucky enough to do our first fence viewing here in a couple weeks. So
Yes.
Yes, we were trained.
we'll now be able to put that education to practice. So there were a few things that came up legislatively that I think we'll bring up in a future work session. There's some
Right.
additional detail I'd like to get from a couple of the commissioners in Riley County, but there's some there's a strategy or some policies they've put in place that I think we might be able to leverage when you think about the fort, because
Right.
we've got a lot of synergies there. So more to come, but no, it was a great meeting, very informative, awesome to meet with. We had 80-plus counties represented. So again, lots of different types and sizes and backgrounds and experiences, and it was a great few days of learning for sure.
And it's kind of amusing that we are now considered to be 100% urban. And it's like, really? I mean, no, I know that because of the population size of Leavenworth County, that we're classified now as fully urban, and that we passed the 80,000 mark. So we don't qualify for a lot of funding opportunities that rural communities have the opportunity to look at the state and federal level. But they did talk about some of the things that we can do. We did learn some opportunities that we want to look into in the future.
That's good.
My dad would say we're a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah. But I'm sure there's a lot of counties that trade as places.
Oh, yeah, well.
When they see the population decline and ours has increased.
Right, we are, and we have increased in population, and that's awesome. And it was, one anecdotal thing was that one of the counties in the state, they maintain 1.5 miles of road, of paved, hard surface.
It's probably on the table to be taken back to gravel.
So, and there are highways that go through, but just that they're
Right.
responsible for maintaining. So it's
Their commissioners live that close together?
Yeah.
That was a good one, David.
For the record, I've always lived on blacktop.
Me too.
So, anything else? Anything going on in your world?
No, we've got, so this week, we've got the LCDC luncheon tomorrow that I plan to attend, and then we've got the event on Fort on Friday that I plan to attend, so that's kind of activities this week.
And I'll go to Government Affairs meeting for the Chamber in the morning, and last evening did the City of Leavenworth City Commission meeting. Last week met with, after I got back from the conference, with members of the Mental Health Task Force, so that's moving along.
Okay. I'll attend also the LCDC, so Chad and I go. That should
There is one more thing I would share, just because I don't know that I'd made it around, but in talking with the commission from Sedgwick, we learned that 6 out of 10 of the arrests that occur, the arresting individual has meth on their person. So they are spending a lot of time on the drug abuse, the behavioral health, trying to get grants. And I made the comment to him, I said, if I had industry in my backyard, like say Coke or Boeing, that might have a vested interest locally, you might be able to accelerate that $20 million capital raise to accomplish said facility. And they were in support of that. And then Vicki and I kind of looked at each other and said, well, if we had to go find an industry here to spend $20 million, who would we go to?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate that I didn't have an answer.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Folks and rentals.
But I will give kudos to the Guidance Center, though, because last Thursday, while I was meeting, Mr. Rickard received a text from the medical director, and they administered the very first dose. I can't remember, it begins with an S, but of a medication that is for individuals who are resistant, depression-resistant medications that they can't, it's not working for them. It's done through nasal mist. So the Guidance Center was the first center in the state of Kansas, first organization, period, to administer that.
Is it ketamine?
It's not ketamine, but it's a derivative thereof. And it's delivered through the nasal passages, which I thought was pretty cool that they have that, and that they now have Dr. Warren's and one of the nurse practitioners, Jeff Copeland, who have been certified to administer the opiate, what's it called?
Narcan?
Narcan, no, not Narcan, the substitute for opiate, for people that are,
Methadone?
no, it's not methadone. I should have been more prepared, because
Google
it
it.
just kind of popped into my head.
Wondered about
Suboxone, Suboxone. So they have been certified, and you have to go through an approval and training process to prescribe that medication, and they have been certified to do so. So it substitutes the opioids, the heroin, or, Oxycontin, Oxycodone, all those things. It's a substitution, but at least that individual then isn't engaging in illicit conduct and has a safe product to be
So is
using.
the goal of that to get, to wean them off of it?
Ultimately, it can be, the thing with that a lot of people don't understand about opiate addiction is it is one of the most difficult addictions to ever completely get over. The relapse rate is incredible because the brain seeks that drug even after it is out of your system, and that can happen for years. There's individuals who have gotten off of any opiates, whether it be the Suboxone or heroin or any of those, that they'll wake up and find themselves sitting out in front of a place where they used to go to score. They have no really concept of how they got there. It's just like they're driven. And so that's the way that drug affects the brain for people who have become,
I mean, it's the same.
they become addicted.
Conditioning,
And
yeah.
so it's something that is a very difficult addiction to get over. And so the one thing about Suboxone is that at least then you're not worrying about the overdose. You're not worrying about having someone die from their use, because we have people who are using that, they're mixing the fentanyl. They're dying. And so it prevents some of those, and they can go to a clinic, receive that medication, and then not be at risk of death. I mean, it replaces, it's not the opioid, it's a blocker. So it's a good
But to get it,
medication.
you have to be in a program?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I said, there's a very specific protocol for it. The individuals also go through treatment services.
Do you know how many cases in Leavenworth County there are, that are being treated?
Wish
on
I
that?
did. Off the top of my head, no,
Okay.
but many.
When does your task force, the mental health task force, when they meet the next time?
We will meet again probably 2 weeks from tomorrow, would be my guess. We were scheduled to meet tomorrow, but we've postponed because the written document is being worked on right now that is just the overview of everything that was done, the steps that were taken, the information that when the gathered, that was data that was obtained.
And then are they going to present when it comes budget time, are they going to present a?
Well, for budget time, well, they will be presenting just the findings in a PowerPoint presentation to the commission, and then following that, going on, doing an education campaign for that large community. and
Later this
municipalities.
month even, right?
Yes, later this month. We hope to be put on the
Agenda.
agenda for the commission, which we may want to go ahead and try to do.
Mhm.
And, yeah, there's, all of those numbers and things will be available. Just right off the top of my head, I can't cite it, but
Well, thank you for being involved in that.
Yep.
Went
Mr.
to the
Coleman?
Easton City Council meeting Monday. That's about all I've got to say about that.
You were there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was exciting. Are we gonna set up what work sessions we're gonna work on anymore, or we got some more to set up, right? The topics of the next work session and when?
Just on a few, and then we'll be kicking off a lot of the work sessions for the budget process here, probably by the end of the month.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you all have other items you wanted added, we've kind of addressed the ones that the commission has given us. So the ones now are just work sessions that we've done.
So there'll be no work session next week? Is that
Well, no, there will be a work session next week.
Monday afternoon?
Which day?
Which is-
Monday
well,
afternoon?
It'll have
Yeah.
to be the same as the.
Meeting.
Is that what you want?
And what will
But I thought
the
they were-
topics be for that? Sorry.
I'll,
Interrupt you.
I don't have that set just yet, but.
Okay.
I think one thing that go ahead, Chad.
Oh, no, you're good.
We talked about the planning commission, how it's going to be set up, but I think and we kind of have talked about maybe when the new planning commission gets established, setting a work session with the new members and the commission and kind of go over actual policies. So I think that could be a work session. And that would be probably when, in July? When that
A
new,
lot of this comes up in June.
well, when the new planning commission
The
is
planning commission
established.
won't take office until July, if there's
Yeah.
any new members.
Right.
Yeah.
But any policy changes would have to be recommendations of the planning commission, correct? Then it comes to the board?
That's the way the process would work, but the board could certainly give some guidance to the planning commission on items they'd like to look at.
Okay.
But yes, the planning commission would review the.
Would make the
policies.
recommendation to the board? Okay. All right.
And the work sessions, we decided, I mean, they're reoccurring weekly until we make a motion to go to a different schedule or cadence, right? Maybe eventually we get to every other week.
right.
Right. But I don't think there's plenty to do, so.
Okay. You know, last week I went to the Southern and Leavenworth County Leadership Awards deal after our meeting last week. And I failed to mention all the sponsors. It's a good organization. Basehor Chamber of Commerce, Community National Bank, First State Bank, Lina Weaver Construction, and Basehor Linwood School are the platinum and gold sponsors of the organization. Silver sponsors are Chuck Wilderson, Oak Creek Nursery, and the Tonganoxie Library. I encourage people from our departments to attend that Southern Leavenworth County Leadership, and you also have the Lansing Leadership, I believe, isn't it? Mr. Miller, do you have a
Leavenworth
Leavenworth Lansing
Lansing.
Leadership? I think we should always have employees attending them. You know, they start in September and they run a meeting a month and do a project and stuff like that. It's a really good organization. So. And tonight I'll attend the Basehor City Council workshop. And also we have a Stranger Township Board opening. I believe the deadline's next week to apply, or I think there's a public notice going on, but not everybody reads the paper as faithfully as all we do, John, so I just wanted to put that plug out there to get a township board member appointed to the Stranger Township Board. I believe that's all I have. Anything else from anything? Then
I was gonna ask, since Glenn's here, how the animal control thing is going. Is that pretty much what you thought it'd be and more? Glenn?
Or less.
Yeah, I'm thinking about a response.
We'd had this conversation before the meeting.
Oh, okay. I just was curious
Glen
if
Berry, I'm
that's,
District 1. I'm not here in official capacity as animal control, and I would refrain from making a comment about that.
okay. I just was wondering if it was going.
Thank you.
The way it was supposed to go.
Thank you, Glenn. Okay,
That's all I got.
all right. And motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Second, voting aye, aye.
Aye.
I